Hey guys, welcome to this week's podcast episode for the Financial Freedom Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Christopher Liu. And as you know, I'm always in search of the meaning of freedom. Was it money? And it came down to four different types of freedom: financial, time, location, health freedom. And I started scouring the globe looking for people embodying these types of freedom on the margins impacting the world. So today I have an entrepreneur, Nick from Boston, and he's a marketer with more than 100 plus actual customers acquired. It's gonna be a fantastic discussion. I always love the success story, and it's gonna be a great conversation. So I'm happy to welcome Nick to the show. Welcome.
Thank you, Chris. I appreciate you having me on the show. I'm super excited, and it was fun, like hanging out with you backstage a few minutes ago too. We had a few giggles, so let's keep the fun vibe going.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And I love the whole Podmatch community, the ability to connect with people. And so tell us your origin story and how you got started.
So I'm not a doctor, but I do play one on TV from time to time. I'm just joking. Uh, my origin story, I'm born and raised here in Boston, Massachusetts. I'm the son of two amazing parents, Greek immigrants from the beautiful island of Kalimnos in Greece, which is one of the most authentic islands and areas of Greece. The highest percentage of neoclassic architecture in all of Greece. Fun fact, and the best food for sure. I grew up in a hardworking family. People worked, and everyone was an entrepreneur. It wasn't even a discussion growing up in my family. It's just like everyone owned a business. That's just what you did. There was, very few people went out and had careers
Uh,
and moved up the ladder. It wasn't even a thing. You owned a business.
yeah.
Whether it was a restaurant, my grandfather was a sponge diver, had his own boat. That's kind of what you did. My father owned multiple different businesses growing up. He owned a chain of donut shops for a long time. He was in the food provisions business, and even he had a used car dealership at one point. So I grew up in that world, and I was super blessed to experience hard work and entrepreneurial spirit very young. And I would say I brought that into my own career. I started while in college doing sales, doing real estate sales, and then eventually mortgage sales. And I brought an entrepreneurial spirit to that where I really loved kind of originating my own business and building a brand and getting my own leads versus maybe using the company's leads and sort of controlling my own destiny. And eventually I was blessed enough to start a consumer financial services company called Key Credit about 15 years ago. We use referral marketing, email marketing, social media, Google Ads, SEO to build that company to over 100,000 actual clients over the course of a little bit more than a decade. And then you can almost say I kind of took the show on the road. I always say we because we have people from our team too. We got really good at this Google stuff, you could say. We got really good at acquiring customers using the internet. And we always had the perspective of the business owner first, the marketer second. So, eventually a few of my friends said, "Hey, Nick, I see you doing big things over there. Can you show me what to do?" And I started helping a couple of friends that were business owners, a law practice, a couple of law practices, a couple of real estate companies get more leads and market themselves. And I did it kind of for fun. I was like, "Hey, I'll help you. Yeah, let's do it. Let's crush it. Let's make it rain. Let's do all this cool stuff." And eventually, I was like, "Wow, this is a business. Like, I could actually do this for a job, for a career. And this is a lot of fun too. I get to hang out with business owners all day long.
Uh,
And what they didn't realize, I was hanging out with them. I was like feeding off of them and learning from them as they were learning from me how to market themselves. And an agency was born about 3 years ago. And here we are now. We've helped dozens of companies grow their sales, stay top of mind, and really like get financial freedom through marketing as well. And that's something I'm pretty proud of. And we can obviously talk a little bit more about that, but that's one of the concepts is, you need to create a predictable marketing machine for your business in order for you, the owner, to sort of hang back and start delegating all the tasks. And that's something we love doing because it's something I did for myself. And I love helping other business owners do it too, and seeing them get that freedom that now the business is predictable enough that they can just start delegating out all of the roles and become an owner versus a rainmaker all day long, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And I really love what the internet did and basically created infrastructure for people to, not have to, go the traditional route. And, every success story, it's always been about someone coming here, hustling and, creating value, creating, a life for them. So it's, I always love that. And, that's kind of that's the backbone of, the capitalism. You talk about this idea of the secret to marketing in any industry, and they don't tell you any e-course, media, all of this. I'm curious,
Yeah.
what is that secret?
Well, you know what? The secret is it's not a big crazy secret. It's not a lottery ticket. So if you've ever talked about business, your phone has picked it up, and 10 seconds later, you are getting things in your link, you're getting ads in your LinkedIn feed, your Instagram feed, in your YouTube for all types of get rich quick schemes. And like sign up for this course and I'm going to guarantee this, you're going to make $10 million. I will teach you how to create this offer. Listen, I've seen it all. I've spent tens of millions of dollars of my own money, and I've uncovered the secret, which is the secret to business as well, the secret to successful business, the secret to successful sports, the secret to successful education, the secret to successful progress typically is hard work, discipline, and fundamentals. Okay. And I tell people this with marketing. And I have meetings with prospective people all the time. I want to grow my business. Nick, what do you got for me? And I say, well, why don't we go through a checklist? There are fundamental things every business should be doing in marketing. Let's check all those boxes first before we go into the get rich quick scheme. Okay. And I'll have a conversation with a client that says, I need more patience. How long have you been in business? 8 years. Great. You need more patience. How many patients have you had? 5,000 patients over the course of so many years. And I'm making up a number here. That's a lot of patience. Before we start investing in ads, which will probably be something we do eventually, what are you doing to stay in touch with all your patients? What do you mean? I mean, you've helped this many real humans over the last XYZ number of years. They've trusted you enough to be their general practitioner, their doctor, their specialist, whatever it is. Are you doing anything to say hi to them every once in a while? To remind them that you are even breathing? When was the last time you've sent an email newsletter? I did one of those once in 2017. Oh, great. Oh, I don't want to be annoying. No, you're not being annoying. If you provide value to someone in your email newsletter, you're being informative, you're giving them value, and you're reminding them that you still breathe. You're giving them value. So let's check off the box. Fundamental number one, are you doing anything to stay in touch with your past clients? No. Let's come up with something. Let's send an email. Let's send them something through social. Let's send them a personal note. Are you sending a thank you card? Are you sending a Christmas calendar? And it doesn't have to be a solicitation, okay? It can just remind them that you're alive. So that's the first thing. Most people's business growth lies inside of their path book of business. So that's the number one thing I want to mention. And it's cheap, okay? It's almost free. And it feels good. And it's the easiest way. Every patient you have, every client you have, every customer you have, you need to find a way to make sure that that pool of customers that's paying has a birth rate. So what do we say? If a country doesn't have a birth rate above a certain number every year, eventually the population is going to decrease. Your business has the same thing. Every customer you have should be able to produce 1.2 customers, 1.1 customers, meaning every customer, every patient you have, if they were to produce 2 referrals for you, and every 100 referrals they sent you, 50% of those people or 60% of those people did business with you, you would have a positive birth rate in your patient count. So let's find a way to do that. That's the big secret, which is not a big secret. If you were to take any business and put it in an alley with no foot traffic, no Google ads, no nothing, no way to market. They would have to be hyper focused on providing the most amazing service and product. That's marketing 101. And number two, they would need to find a way to keep top of mind with their past book of business, whether it's email, social, these are new methods. And there are businesses that are in alleys that have no sign, that have no billboard and no Google ads, and they're successful. So that's the first thing I want to mention. It seems counter the message of most digital marketing agencies that will tell you, let's just run ads, let's go for it, let's Google this, let's social media that. But if we start with this, what we find is we start producing free customers. Okay, we have a positive birth rate, and then we have high margins in the business, and all of a sudden we have the ability to parlay that capital into the ads, into the social, into all the fancy things we can do online, and do it in an incredibly profitable way. And we can accelerate the growth of a business so quickly that people won't be able to believe what's happening. It's just numbers.
I love how you talk about, fundamentals. People think it's just all these fancy tactics. While we're on this idea, we're like secret, where we're like kind of exposing the industry. It's like you talk about, these basics, and then what is it, the one thing about paid marketing that large companies don't want you to know? They keep it a secret under the rug. What is that?
The secret that the big guys don't want you to know is that paid marketing should be free. Okay, should be and can be. Okay, but you need to understand the way a gambler thinks. Okay, so I grew up in a household. My dad was a big, card player. That's just the truth. A lot of entrepreneurs are, hanging out in Atlantic City in the '80s, I guess, right? But he taught me a concept once. So in my past business, I remember one day walking into his restaurant, and I was kind of like stressed out. And he said, "Hey, what's the matter? What's wrong? You're not busy?" And I said, "Dad, I am incredibly busy. The month is over. We did over 1,000 new clients this month." And he said, "Well, what's the matter?" And I said, "Well, I had to pay about $100,000 in advertising to do that." And he said, "No, you didn't." I said, "Why? What do you mean?" "Yes, I did." He said, "You've been telling me the same thing for a year. You've been doing this all year." And I said, "Yeah, it's a $1.2 million." He goes, "No, it's not $1.2 million. Because you spent 100 grand one month. In fact, you spent $1,000 in a particular day, right?" And this is the concept he gave me. He said, "You put $1,000 in marketing into your business today. Okay. And that day it produced enough sales that you made four. So you made $4,000. Okay. Okay. Let's say your costs are $1,000 to produce your business. You got back your $1,000 in marketing expense, and then you reinvested another 1,000. You had 1,000 left over for profit, right? You got back your initial investment, correct?" And I said, "I guess I did." And he said, "So you kept reinvesting that $1,000 you got after that first day, but your first 1,000's in your pocket, correct?" And I said, "I guess it is." He goes, "So you've been playing with the house's money. You're not even using your own money. You're getting free customers." And I'll tell you, my dad was a business person. He understood content. He's not an educated guy in the academic sense, but he read a lot. He really was in tune with the business community. And when he told me this, that little emoji with the brain exploding, that was me. I think that emoji was me that day, and it made me think. And I've been recycling that initial money I've made for more than a decade. And that's what the big companies don't want you to know. The goal of marketing is not just to get a return on ad spend. It's how quickly can I get back my initial investment? Great, check. How quickly can I get back in profit enough money so I can reinvest now the house's money? Check. Good. It's free. Go nuts. Scale. And we were able to, we encompassed this. We lived this concept. Inc. 5000 multiple years in a row. Growth was so fast because we weren't playing with our own money. They say this, if you're at the casino, and I'm not a gambler, for the most part, or for any part. But when you're at the casino and you bring $1,000, bring somebody with you. Okay, and what do they tell you? They say, can you make back that $1,000? Give that $1,000 to that person, tell them to leave. Because at that point, you have zero downside. You're playing with the house's money. It's only upside. If you lose, you lose. You haven't lost anything. It's only upside. And that's kind of the concept with paid ads that you want to have. Okay. And stop stressing the dollar amount and just start stressing getting back that initial investment. How long will it take? That's the number. And it's the same concept in real estate, right? We talk about passive investments. It's how quickly can we buy a property, renovate it, refinance it, get back our initial investment, rent it out, right?
Yeah.
We get back our initial investment and then we use the additional proceeds to buy the next property. And ultimately what happens? We have an infinite ROI. And that's why you hear these guys that, they made some money, they're doctors, they made some money, they did well, okay, but they didn't necessarily make a fortune. Maybe they didn't make $1 million a year, maybe they didn't, but they made a decent fortune. And they've got 100 rental units. And truly, they have this passive income. And you're like, wait a second, I know what that guy was making. W2 is more than that. How does he have these units? Well, because he used this concept to create passive income. So we're doing the same thing in marketing ad spend in business that the really smart investors are doing over at, like the Smart Money podcast, and they're talking about the BRRRR system. It's the same thing with paid ads.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And it's really basically the velocity of money. And, I love this idea is like, how fast can you make your money back? And then basically the risk. And then that's how, majority of people think, okay, I will make 500 to 1,000 an hour. How many hours can I work? But that's not really tax efficient. So, and then the most wealthiest think what you're talking about. So that's something to point out to the audience, and just the risk, how, and then what is the volatility, and what is the return, and how long do I have to wait to get my money back? So these are all higher order questions, and so I love that. One thing that and I love this talk because we're talking about all these like contrarian, and then everybody says AI is going to take out our jobs and AI is going to replace us. And so, but you say AI is not a threat for marketing on search. And I'm curious to learn why.
Here's what I'll say. Since the beginning of time, all very new innovative technology has threatened an industry. Google threatened the librarian. When the hammer was created, it threatened the guy that was hammering things with a rock, right? Or his hands. I don't know what he was doing. There's always been a threat to industries. The automobile came out and it threatened the industry. There was probably a multi-million-dollar industry across the United States of people making saddles for horses, and they were threatened. So now what you have is AI is potentially threatening jobs, okay, which I think there is some truth in the short term. And, there is the question of how is that going to affect search and search advertising? So, which I'll address both, okay? So number one, the idea that it's going to affect advertising dollars from search, I think is a total misconception. And I think, sorry, my video turned off there. I think we need to create the distinction between the types of search, okay? So there is commercial intent search and there's informational intent search, okay? Commercial intent search is I need someone to do something for me. I need a service, okay? It's the exact type of search you and I might have done 20 years ago when we had the yellow pages at our house. There's almost no different, okay? We needed a plumber, so we went to the yellow pages and went to the P section and looked for plumbers, right? That's commercial intent search. You're looking for a business, a service provider, a done-for-you something, right? Or a product, okay? Informational intent search is where you're looking for info, okay? You're not looking for a doctor. You're looking to self-diagnose yourself, right? You're looking for information to reaffirm the disease you think you have, right? That's info. You're not looking to hire a doc. You're looking to find out why you're having certain symptoms and how to treat yourself naturally, and what you can do to avoid whatever disease it is you think you have. That's informational intent search. The do-it-yourselfer is informational intent search. The research is informational intent search. Right now, AI has massively disrupted informational intent search, because I don't need to go to the website and research something. The AI could potentially just give me the answer I want. Phenomenal. What's better than that? How will it affect advertising? Listen, Microsoft is not dumb with the release of ChatGPT. They're not making money for selling it for $20 a month. Let's be real, or the free version. They're making money from ads. So they've now integrated it in Bing search. And what do we see? We see more people going over to Bing search. It covers their informational intent purpose, right? Because they can use ChatGPT to answer things for them. But guess what? There's also kind of a hybrid type of search where you're searching for information, but then there is an ad there. And you're like, you know what? Instead of trying to do this myself, let me just click on this freaking ad. Let me just hire the plumber. I don't have time to learn how to unclog my whatever it is, my sink. And there's an ad here. Let's click on it, right? So if anything, it's going to augment search. I think it will definitely affect the overall traffic of people on websites for information, but I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. And keep in mind, as AI is spitting out all of these responses, it's going to be, and it already is inside of the Bing search ChatGPT, it's already giving us information and helpful links. And I think it's within the dialogue of how it's responding to us. If anything, it's just going to put more people on the internet. And, when they're releasing the for profit, Google's not going to give up. They're not going to give up revenue to give us a bunch of free stuff. Let's be real here.
I love this. I know I love this conversation about marketing and trends, and you're really enlightening. How can people contact you, follow you, reach out to you, etc.?
Yeah, so they can reach right out to me via, we keep it pretty simple. You can text or email me directly. You can text it will come right to my computer. You can text me at 617-315 if you ever need to put together a marketing plan for your business, and we will start with the fundamentals. Our marketing plan is 100% free of charge for all the listeners here. You can email me at Nik, at realtop.com. You can see from my background, you can see from my background, realtop.com, and request a free marketing strategy session there. Just mention the podcast here. You can always reach out to us for a free marketing strategy.
Yeah. And so for the audience out there, and for all the audience out there, let's thank Nik for coming onto this show. I learned a lot, and especially all these contrarian views, and all of Nik's resources will be in the links and show notes. Be sure to reach out to him. He's on the major social media platforms. And with that, thanks so much for coming out to the show.
I have one request for you, Chris, before we go.
Shoot.
I'm in marketing. We have to do a digital selfie with your permission.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, here it goes. It's getting crazy, but this is the metaverse we live in. Stay cheese.
Yeah. And thanks so much. And it was a pleasure having you on the show.
Thanks, Chris.